You might see something like the Sedge. You might see something like the Maokai. They can also play the Poppy. So there's a lot to see here. They are very good, I think, at playing different looks when it comes to like anti-dive as well. You have the Ornn, which is, if C gets on Ornn, it's good. But I guess as we head into the pick bans here, we'll see if that gets through.
So yes, the champion select is underway. BDS Valkyries are on blue side, while French bees, are on the red side. We have the first bans coming through as well. What do you feel, J-Real? There are going to be the most important champions or the most important lanes to focus on the last two bans.
So I think a lot of respect being shown, especially by Valkyries here. Getting rid of the Talia, getting rid of the Belveth. I really like that. It's just strong pickups that VFB could play, and they're just taking them away. I also like the VFB are also showing some respect, but they're also picking away some stuff that's caused a bit of problems. They've taken away the Syndra, they're taking away the Xerath, which I don't think is the biggest pick for Shard, but they are picks that have caused problems. They've been strong throughout the whole day, so I do like that they're taking those away. A little bit of a mix of what's good against them versus what the other team play.
And what is, Regulus, what do you think is going to be the priority? Oh, are we seeing this, Regulus? How happy are you about this, Regulus?
It's time for the Ziggs that we've been waiting for. I mean, to be fair, I haven't seen a lot of Ziggs come out from Stratos Panda when I was doing my little reconnaissance, my little OPGG checks here and there, but a really great pickup, especially to take away from Vicky, who loves that pick. And then we see the Jax come in, so he could be looking for something else that can serve in some form of lockdown comp, or just looking for a straight up split push on the side of Vitality.
J-Real, what are your thoughts about these picks, and what are your thoughts about a good way to wrap up this first pick phase?
So I was hoping that this was going to be a flex, right? I hope that they kind of played the Jax a little bit later game. They maybe kind of made them guess, is it going to be a top, is it going to be a jungle? I almost got very excited there, by the way. I'm a Fiddlesticks main, so that would be such a big win for me, but it's not going to be just yet. But the Wukong with the Jax, I think it's a lot of dive potential. It's a lot of power coming out. It's a lot of threat onto the backline of Valkyries, and I do like the pickup. I just wish they maybe spaced them out a little bit in the draft. But going on to the other side, Valkyries, they're locking in that Renekton. I think it's pretty stable. I think it's pretty standard. I want to see a jungle with high priority to really abuse the fact that they have that early. The Tristana, again, another flex. I like it.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw Tristanas today really doing some damage, and we, on the other side, we saw Wukong having really important engages, and that can be a really important tool for the French bees to make those plays, to get those ganks. Let's see how they end up using it and what they end up picking on their R3 Regulus. What do you feel about? Is this Victor locked?
It's like
it is
coming in. Yeah. So yep, there's the. I was literally about to say Rel needs to be banned here. Rel is way too good for the comp that BDS want to play. I'm expecting something else that can also supply some lockdown. There we go. The cast comes in, a little bit of anti-dive there. Maybe we'll see a Poppy ban. Leona, yet another great takeaway. Often, played with the Ziggs. We're likely probably to see something like a Nautilus come in from Eva Luna. I'd be very surprised if we didn't see Naut here. I think it's probably the best supportive pick that we have left that will do the job. Or Rakan. Rakan can also work. Not the biggest fan of Rakan with Ziggs. I feel like Ziggs just needs something that's just a bit more supportive, just a little bit tankier, that can really get him out of trouble. But we do perhaps see the Jarvan come in here from Stratos Panda as Silver's been locked in on the other side.
I am really thinking about this Sejuani ban from the Valkyries, because I think it would be an interesting pick for them. But no, they end up going with Jarvan, and they are about to lock Rakan. J-Real, what do you think it should be a good R5 for the French bees.
So I personally am going two ways, right? They could either go for something a bit aggressive like the Nautilus. I think a bit of engage would definitely help them out here. I think it sets up nicely for the rest of the lane and also the stages in the game. I will say I was quite down for them to play quite a safe bot lane, to be honest, because they have so much going on in terms of scaling with the Victor and the Jax that realistically you have to spread those resources out some way, and if you kind of have too many resources, you're not necessarily going to get any of them particularly ahead. So I was maybe looking at something that could have just been quite a bit safer than Nautilus, and then you just kind of leave them on an island and Wukong plays around top and mid. But they have gone for the Nautilus. I think it does give a lot of agency. Obviously it allows for the roams, it allows for the plays on that mid lane, potentially plays on that bot lane with the assistance of the Wukong. In terms of Valkyries though, I'm a little bit surprised they went for the Jarvan. I would have liked maybe something a little bit more aggressive in the jungle, something that does a little bit more damage. I think on the aspect of just a bit more DPS because of the setup that Renekton can give you. But I do like that they have a pretty solid front line and they are going to play these quite front to back, I believe.
I think, Regulus, and please disagree if you think that I'm not saying it right, I think this Jarvan Rakan is going to be really interesting to see how this jungle support will play around the map, will play around objectives and try to set things up and try to control the river. Do you feel this is also an important place to look at from the side of the Valkyries?
Yeah, I mean, Jarvan traditionally has been a very good sort of counter ganking pick. I feel like we're going to see the sort of jungler on the side of BDS Valkyries really looking to track Ali through and just really keep the monkey sort of under wraps. With regards to the Rakan, again, I was a little bit surprised. I feel like maybe they shifted towards it because they knew they just wanted something that was a bit more playmaking than perhaps the Nautilus that we now see on the side of the bees. But for me, I feel like it's just another lane where Vicky's on the Sivir, just wants to kind of farm it out. There's just going to be lots of push back and forth between the Ziggs, between the Sivir, and the supports are going to be able to sort of get out onto the map a bit more once that lane priority has been established in one way or another. So yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting how they approach the river, especially these early setups, but just have to see how it goes.
Now, J-Real, let's talk about what can Vitality do in this match. What can they do with this composition? What are their winning conditions? Because they need to stall for late game. They need to try and get that Victor, that Jax ahead. How are they gonna make it?
Yeah, so I feel like VFB have just kind of been on holiday or something, because they just flip-flopped on the whole comp. They went from early game pressure to late game pressure, and I'm not going to lie, I do kind of like it. I think the late game gives you a little bit more security, but the only issue I have is that they have so much late game, right? They have Jax, they have Victor, they have Sivir. They all need to scale. Yes, they have the Wukong and the Nautilus to kind of aid them in getting to those places, but the thing is that I don't see how Wukong is really going to be able to contest the Jarvan when none of his lanes are particularly winning, and he's going to have to do the most in those fights, and I feel like Jarvan is going to have just a little bit of an easier time and will be able to build up those leads. So for VFB, I think they have to play very, very smart and very, very clean. I think if they give any sort of early mistakes, they could just cancel themselves out of the game. But if they are able to make it to 20 minutes with a pretty even schedule, with no real disadvantages, no big losses, then I think they are in a good state and they could potentially take this game.
So you would say that their comp is slightly harder to execute?
I think that they have less chance to... I think they're basically relying on Valkyries not snowballing, which I think is a little bit of a tough situation to be in because it doesn't give you too much proactivity and it's more reactivity. But with that being said, mistakes can happen, and if Valkyries make mistakes and give over leads to the side of VFBs, it's a very strong comp to have. So Regulus, you maintain your prediction after seeing this draft?
Yes, so far I do. I think that BDS's comp is definitely much easier to execute. I think it's got a much clearer identity on what it wants to do. I was kind of surprised that Vitality kind of insta-locked the Jax and then proceeded to kind of... I mean, you don't really have the best other split pushes. I would have liked to have seen maybe like an Ahri or something instead of the Victor there. Just something that spikes a little bit earlier. Just something that can also serve as a second split push option. But, you know, as J-Roll said, if BDS Valkyries, if they misstep, then this is a comp that can and will snowball very, very quickly.
Well, let's see what they can do. Let's get on with it. J-Real, Regulus, the floor is yours.
It is time to get into the final series of the day. VFB versus BDS Valkyries. And we'll have to find out who is going to take themselves to the next stage of this tournament. This is a very important match for both sides of this rift. And there could be a big shift in who is going to make it through. But the question that I want to ask, right, is we're talking about power. And I'm talking, what rhymes with power? Tower. Tower taking Tristana, Ziggs, is that the key for BDS?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you draft Ziggs, you get the Yordle duo out on the Rift, you know that you're going to be pushing towers very, very fast. There is going to be so much pressure, I think, from the side of BDS that for Vitality, they have to really, really weather the storm. And whether or not they're able to, and can lose gracefully for much of this early game, I think that's, as we've kind of spoken about, that's really going to decide whether or not they're able to actually last long enough to make an impact in this game.
Yeah, and a nice start there. Joey had getting a bit of damage on to C. And the thing is that I kind of talked a little bit about it when we had Anna there as well. And the sentiment is this, right? I think that a lot of the control of this game is going to be in BDS's hands. And I think that basically VFB are going to have a little bit of a problem if BDS start to get the ball rolling. Now, I do respect the Sivir being picked into the Ziggs. It stops the push potential. It gives you a little bit more time. But if BDS start to open up the map and they start to get the first Herald and they can get the early towers and they can get the Ziggs bomb and they can move Stratus Panda and they can move Shard around the map, the gold that they can make off of tower platings pre-14 is insane. We're talking stacks, and I'm not talking Nasus. We're talking big stacks, big gold, and huge advantages.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is very much the run my please comp on a real, like, if this BDS team can really get going, as you said, then yeah, the world is theirs, the Rift is theirs, and it's gonna be difficult. And look, the Jarvan looking to make proactive plays into the jungle early.
And this is so wild. This is so wild from Ender. Just going to go for the fight straight away. Going to flash away. If they can get their combo flag and drag onto Ali, it could be good night to the Wukong. They are looking to go back aggressive for it. Ali does have flash though, so we'll be able to dodge that one if they do go a little bit aggressive. But I like this. Ender just stepping up saying, this is my jungle. This is not yours. I am the one to dictate the pace. And now look, Shah following suit. Lilith going to take a decent chunk of damage in that trade.
Yeah, Shard doesn't quite get the last auto attack off to really maximise the amount of damage on that bomb, but this is the power of this Tristana rally, right? That you just drop a bomb on someone, you blow it up, and then you get your resets on your jump. It's so strong. And you know that this Tristana is just going to have perma-prio in this mid lane wave, which should give Ender so much space to operate around this jungle.
And I just feel like it's going to be very hard for Ali to back these team fights, like to back the beef, really, because every lane I feel like just has a better damage profile, especially in the solo lanes with the Tristana and the Renekton in the early stage versus their counter matchup. And it is just going to make it quite tricky for Ali to really navigate this map, to really optimize how they can make these fights and plays work. I think realistically it's going to be more about getting farm where you need, being kind of like a shadow for lanes that are going to get ganked, and also going for those early drakes as well, getting those advantages wherever you can.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting actually, because I see a lot of Ziggs comps where teams will opt for something a little bit tankier in the jungle. They'll get like a Maokai, or kind of just go for ultra safety. But this comp from BDS, this sort of approach to it, is a little bit more fast and loose than what we'd typically see. Again, I keep harping on about the Rakan, but typically nowadays it's weird not to see something like a Nautilus or a Rel. Obviously the Rel was banned out, but yeah, just a much more flexible comp. I think we're going to see a little bit more versatility, hopefully, in the way that BDS approach this game.
And Ender is just doing what I kind of wanted to see from the last game from Ali and the Kazakhs, is just invading, causing problems, making sure that they are getting themselves ahead. But Kazain, on this roam, I like this a lot. This is how BFB can turn themselves around. Good rocket jump and flash will get shot away, but that is a big roam, a big win for VFB. Damn, left is hard.
Wow. Really great roam there from Kasane. And obviously, great little rocket jump from Shard. Does kind of buffer the hook a little bit. It is a bit of a janky interaction, but the flash is kicked out. However, it looks like we're going to see a counterplay here.
Yeah, and I think it's just going to help them push this in, allow them to get a reset, you know, allow them to go back. They have a decent amount of gold, and also you don't want to be stepping a little bit too far up that lane just in case someone comes and ganks you again. But I think, all in all, that's what I want to see from VFB, right? I want to see controlled aggression. I don't think that they should just give up the game and just be like, okay, we can't do anything until 25 minutes. They have to be proactive, but it's about choosing those optimal moments, right? And I think that that kind of roam, that kind of play from Kassane, that's what I want to see more of.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to point out, like, the synchronized backs from 4 members of BDS there was really lovely. The timing on those backs is absolutely pitch perfect, because it looks like Shah should hopefully hit level 6 on this wave, having come back with that Kirshi Shard, which is perhaps not the strongest back, especially compared to that Lost Chapter. Again, to sort of reiterate what I said earlier, the Lost Chapter is now obviously 1100 gold. That changed a couple of patches ago. It is so much cheaper and makes for a much more disgusting spike as a result. But looks like we're going to see Ali, what are you cooking?
Yeah, I don't know if they want this fight though, because again, they have the potential to roam Stratus Panda up a little bit faster than Vicky could, and the pressure that is being applied from Shah just gives them that extra bit of advantage. So again, it kind of is that catch-22 for Ali, where okay, this fight looks like it could be entertaining, but I don't know if it's going to necessarily pay off for you. And this early play from BDS is really, really good. Like, getting that dragon, getting that lead, taking away any sort of advantage the VFB could take. Although they do have to be a bit careful here. You don't want to leave Ender on their own, as we are going to see a bit of a fight there. Kassane gets the engage, and there's the damage. Vicky and Lilith just lighting up that support, and they will take the dragon and get away, but first blood to VFB.
Yeah, I mean, Ivaluna just couldn't do anything there. She was sort of, do I, don't I? Nope, mind, I'm just gonna, nope, Nautilus got me, I'm dead. And then what a lovely prison there from the Victor. Just catching 2 means that then the Stratus Panda isn't allowed to do pretty much anything there in that moment. But yeah, the first strike does go over to BDS, which is absolutely what they want to be doing. Just getting those early objectives, just really trying to make the most of the early advantage they've got as C goes in.
Oh, aggressive! No way! Ooh. C is massive. Okay, goodbye to the Jax. That's a quick pickup. A solo bolo in the top side. And that is what we're talking about. You have a lot of scalers that aren't going to win lanes, and if they are left alone, then they can be taken advantage of, and you need Ali to kind of be everywhere and anywhere, and C seizes their moment.
Wow. Seizes their moment. I like what you did there, J-Real. Yeah, I mean, this is typical Renekton play, right? You know that the Jax is not going to be the strongest champion, at least until that Sundra/Triforce comes in, whichever that they choose to pick up. But yeah, just 1200 gold lead already established on the top lane. Absolutely disgusting play coming out from C there. Knows exactly, again, we've seen this so much today where players have gone in on just, 20%, 30% health and gone, nah, I've got this. And they just do it. They just know. And it's so good to see such great proactivity from these players. Just really testing themselves, even though it's, a knockout stage.
I like this roam. I like this roam a lot from VFB. I like that they're getting up there. I like that they're getting pressure onto that Herald, because we talked about the tower taking potential. If you allow BDS to get this Herald, I feel like this is the start of the demise. So them playing for this is really smart. They've brought all members as well. They even rotated Vicky, who might be getting in trouble though. Going to have to flash away. The knockup isn't going to land, but there's the Cataclysm, and goodbye to your ADC. A price to pay for the Herald, and it might be more, as Chubby Daddy now getting into a fight with C is going to drop the Grandmaster's might. But C just able to keep themselves at a good distance. Now Herald is picked up there by the side of VFB. Oh, hold on one sec. C is just going to be getting aggressive. Flashes forward. Doesn't get the auto though. Gets the auto. No way. Life is given to Chubby Daddy by no auto being procced there. They will survive a little bit longer, but this lead is still just growing. And look at the bot lane as well. Stratus Panda taking plates off of this tower. Gold lead 1.5k 9 minutes in.
Yeah, and Chubby Daddy is in such a horrible position here. She really wants to go back, but it's just been completely zoned off the wave. So low, 2 levels down now to the Renekton. Ali, I don't think you want this.
Yeah, 3 levels down plus having Dominus, it's a little bit rough, man. We talked about C, we highlighted him as a really prominent player for this team, and you get why. Wave after wave, slowly drifting away from the plays, and just from Chubby Daddy, you know, they're just building this lead.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, C, we highlighted her as like this real standout before the game, and she's just not disappointing so far. Absolutely sensational Renekton play so far. And
moving on to further parts, I'm really interested to see where Ali drops his Herald, right? Because so far it feels like they've been able to find small pockets of success, right? I think that VFB have actually had a decent time in this game so far, but where do you prio who you give this advantage to, right? Because Chubby Daddies is behind, so maybe you want to give them a bit of gold to bring them back in. You have a mid laner who's kind of even, Lilith's able to keep up with Shah, but then you also have Vicky who has performed really well, has got a kill. Where do you put the Herald?
So for considering that Drake's coming up in a minute, I would definitely look to mid. I mean, you definitely want to get Lilith some extra gold here. Your Victor really needs to scale into this game. So dropping Herald mids, trying to use that to create some prio to allow your team to move into this outside river will be really great. But at the minute, it's so hard to get anything done. Obviously, the invade now coming in.
Ooh, okay, Ali taking a little bit of damage as we are going to get Dragon spawning up in 38 seconds. So it is a little bit closer than you'd maybe like if you were VFB in terms of setting up. They do need to get some wards down, some vision control, because right now it does feel all BDS favoured, and this could actually be quite dangerous for Vicky. That tower is quite low. Ziggs very good at destroying those, and with Ender in that vicinity, you do got to be a little bit careful, but no minions means no tower dive.
Yeah, I mean, the towers... At this rate, the tower is pretty much dead on the next wave. It's really fortunate for the side of the Bees that they didn't have a wave, because a couple more autos, blast pack goes down, and that tower says goodbye.
Ooh, and talking about goodbye, Lilith might be in that situation. Good flash. The Cataclysm will get into safety, but no flash for this next fight.
Yep, really good play there by BDS. Getting the crucial flash off the Victor means that Lilith's not going to be able to safely participate in this next fight on Drake, and it allows BDS to now move down, try and re-establish some control in the bot lane, and then hopefully move to the jungle for this straight.
And they do decide to use the Herald in the bot side. They get a bit of gold onto Vicky. I like it. I like the decision, you know, get that ADC ahead. They've been doing a lot of good work. But talking about ahead, man, C is just driving this lead further and further away. Almost 2,000 gold up on Chubby Daddies. And now if we do pan over to the bot side of the map, Dragon is going to be started by VFB.
Yeah, and Renekton is super strong at the minute, but there's no TP here, so it's a straight up 4v4 in this moment.
Hook onto Ender, but in goes Eveluna, going to buy a bit of time, and no further engagement from VFB. They're keeping on the Dragon, but tools haven't been dropped just yet, and they're starting to pressure once again. BDS forcing VFB away with the long range poke coming out from Ziggs, and now they take a bit of control around the Drake, but you have to be careful. Kasane gonna have to flash away, but there's the knock of the Cyclone going deep, and they've already picked up the jungler, but that's the bomb back. Shah sends them into the Quadra, and it's now just so many damage done. It is going to be an even trade though, VFB versus BDS, but almost looks so doomy.
Oh, Shah just going big on this Tristana, hopping in, getting the resets. Really lovely work there. They just had to wait for that re-engage. BDS were getting beaten up, and just as Chubby Daddy's just getting beaten up now in the top lane.
Oh, they tried to jump away. Leap Strike does get them out. C not able to keep closing down that gap, but will surely now take first brick in the top side.
Yeah, definitely. And just to come back to the Dragon fight quickly, I really like what BDS did. They recognized that they were getting beaten up by the Drake, allowed themselves to drop the aggro of the Drake. There was just a lot of back and forth between Vitality and BDS there. And then that moment came where Ali was like, yeah, I'm her. I've got this. And granted, did pretty well out of it. But in the end, it was BDS that did come out on top in that skirmish.
So 14 minutes, plates are about to drop. No more plating can be gained, and it is a 3k pretty much gold lead over to BDS. So they have managed to build up a decent advantage, and look at that damage coming out from Stratus Panda there. The Ziggs dropping heavy shots onto Kasane, and this could set up really nicely for a dive here. That turret is pretty much dead and gone. And I think it is going to be a pretty easy one for them to secure. So more gold going to be in the bank. But how are you feeling about VFB, right? Have they done enough in this early stage to stall it out where you don't feel like they're too far behind? Or is this very much the game plan that BDS are on and they are very much on target?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, again, I want to come back to this Jax pick. Like, I just feel like within like Vitality's comp, it's just not super necessary. I feel like if they could have picked something a little bit tankier just to give a little bit more beef to their front line. I mean, you've got a Victor who's hard scaling, you've got the Sivir who's hard scaling. Just 2 carries. That's all you need. I feel like in most comps. So again, I feel like it's another example of where Vitality are kind of overreaching a little bit with their drafts, but at the same time, they have done well to keep the deficit modest. It's only 3k here at the 15-minute mark, and Ali's looking now to pick up this Herald.
They are looking to go for the Herald right now. A nice fucking drag there. Does get them away. Tried to get the steal, but Ali is going to secure that one. And now the fight is very, very spread out. And a good aggression there shown from Chubby Daddy. Going to go aggressive and get a kill. That is what the Jax is picked for. But on the flip side, C locking up the supports. Both top laners taking down the supports for either team. But I do believe that it was BDS that once again kind of comes out ahead of that. Look at the pressure they can now put on this mid tower. And although, yes, very nicely played from Ali. Picked up the Herald. Does deny another one away from the Valkyries. Overall, I still feel like it's in the favor of the Valkyries.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, picking up the second Herald, I know that people typically don't, a lot of people don't find a load of value in second Herald. But at the same time, when you're the bees here, you want to try and get as much gold in as possible. You've got objective bounties up right now. So I feel like this Herald pickup could be really, really big for them. And also, getting a kill onto that Jax, just getting him going. He's so far down, 3k gold down, a whole item down on this Renekton now. He needs as much help as he can get here in the top lane.
And maybe some milk, but that's a completely different situation. Right now, though, it is, in my opinion, the reason why I really like the VFP went for that play, why she picked up that Herald is so important, is because you're just denying the potential pressure from BDS, right? If they get a Herald, they go down mid, they can potentially siege the first tower, get the second tower, that's more gold, that just leads to more and more victories for them. So a really strong play, a really brave play from them as well, and I do like that they are trying to control as much of the neutral map as they can, and that timer is ticking, right? 10 more minutes, if the game is still even or the game is still close, I do think the game starts to change hand. We look at the items, Sivir now about 2.5, 1 item cleared for the Victor. If we get to those 3 item power spikes, the game does start to swap hands.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, only 3k gold, talking about that sort of modest deficit again. Opportunity will come to sort of even it up a little bit. The Herald is so close to running out, though. Ali needs to drop this somewhere. But look at this positioning here from Ender. Just sneaks in, knows exactly where that monkey is. Look at the vision here for the side of BDS. Just so difficult to make anything happen.
And the pressure there in the mid lane as well. Stratus Panda trying to get some damage off the tower. Ali gonna reveal, and now here comes the damage! Cataclysm, you're locked in! Gonna have the Cyclone to try and get away, but it is not gonna be successful. And picking up another kill in potentially a vital moment. Vicky trying to push up this wave, not give them any space to get onto that tower. But this fight for control, this fight for the mid is still going the way of the Valkyries. And it's because of that vision, right? You talked about it. They were able to get in deep. They were able to get behind enemy lines and catch Ali out in positions where they're just not ready for them.
Yeah, definitely. Just really great use of the map here. I think from BDS, I feel like they're just really making use of what their vision, whereabouts their vision is, the pockets that they're able to sort of sneak into, and the plays that they're able to set up as a result of it. So, no, kudos to them, and yeah, thank you, observers, as we see where this deep vision is in the bees' jungle. You know, they're sort of a little bit out of control of the map state. That's for sure.
And hopefully the Herald gets dropped in a second. I don't know if it's a bug now. I don't know if it's timed out or if we don't have a timer. But either way, we'll see if that one does get played finally. And we are getting a bit of scaling, right? We are getting a bit of scaling from Lilith. You know, as we said, they are building those items. So is Vicky. But the gold is close between the two teams. Admittedly, it is all over to the side of BDS, which is as we expected throughout this game.
The Herald's going to go
but
down.
But is it going to start to swap over?
Yep.
Ali going to drop the Herald. Is this going to lead to them potentially going for the dive? We are going to see the locking up the Tristana, and they didn't manage to get away. Shah got caught out, and that is a kill, and nicely execute dive. And VFB starting to show that they're ready to be proactive.
Where did Tristana go? She was there. Like I swear I saw her. Jerry, did I miss something? She was there, and then she wasn't.
Man, Wukong Victor damage is not to be worried about. Like I said, we talk about Victor being a late game scaler. Death Ray lives up to the name all the time. So, yeah, definitely one to watch out for. But talking about watch out, it is the next dragon that has spawned. And if they do manage to get this, if the Valkyries can pick this one up, they will be one away from Soul Point. Now, Ocean Soul, not the most notorious, but I think with people like Renekton and Jarvan in your team, it definitely will pay pretty nicely.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really interesting, actually. Look at the gold difference in the bot lane here. Actually working in Vicky's favor ever so slightly right now, which is super, super interesting. You know, you look at Ziggs as a champion that loves to get these tower plates. Obviously, you have the Tristana as well. But even though there's no bot lane tower anymore on the side of the bees, the Ziggs has dealt with that. That gold lead is still on the side of the Sivir, and I think that might be a little bit of indicative of where we're going to be looking a lot more, especially as the bees continue into this game.
No.
But right now, Tubby, oh no.
And it's just the unfortunate nature of being behind. You know, Cataclysm going to be used. Jump in from Sharp. Maybe melee range isn't where you want to be, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. Tries to get away, but that is going to be a flag. A flag to the face is what's going to kill Chubby Daddy, and maybe now this opens up for more towers, right? The push on the bot lane with the Tristana, they're even sending C towards that mid lane. I think if they can get a bit of damage from Stratus Panda onto this tower, it could be gone. But Satchel already used to try and isolate out Kassane, but no further play means that it could just be a little bit more time needing to be bided, although stun Kassane able to buffer with the
buffer.
Hook.
Yeah, clean buffer on the hook there from Kassane. Just another example here, though, in this mid lane wave where, you know, Stratus Panda is desperately trying to get these towers down as quickly as possible, but the waves just aren't waving for her right now. But looks like one more auto, two more auto. Do we have the empowered auto? Not just yet. Kassane really
they
strong
are quite
here.
happy just to chipper them, right? Like, they can just whittle them down, they can just force them back, because they're going to get this tower sooner or later. It's inevitable. They will finally get this one unless there's a chance for VFB to force a fight and really kind of push them back. And at the same time, for Valkyries, there isn't really any need to be super active on the map right now, right? They don't have the dragon up. That's in 3 minutes 30. They can kind of just play the waves. They can just kind of build into their lead already and then start to set up for the objective. Start to set up for the Baron, start to set up for the dragon, because realistically, if you just leave Stratus Panda in that mid lane with a bit of support from Eva Luna, that tower will fall finally.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Now, looking onto the map, we have plenty of vision up here towards this Baron. On the side of BDS, once again, you know, BDS are able to really find good pockets of vision. Obviously, they're on blue side, so they're going to have an easier time approaching this big purple worm. But deep vision being dropped, but Ali clears that one out.
Yeah, finally, that would survive for a long time. That was a veteran.
That's a boom award right there.
That was a boomer right there. Like,
it's just like me for real.
they got Ziggs, but that was a boomer. Like, it's strong from that award. Respect to their vision that they gave, you know, over their time.
Yeah, so we're definitely in a bit of a low state right now. I mean, both teams are kind of jostling in this mid lane. Both towers still up, trying to get them down to open up the map a bit, try and get that access to Baron, get that prio, but it's just a little quiet at the minute. I feel like they're just looking to farm for the next couple minutes, wait for this Drake to come up, see if BDS will just trade off a Drake for the Nash here. A little trade deal going on between the two teams potentially in all chat, you never know. But yeah, it's just, I mean, this if you're the bees, this is kind of what you want right now. You know, you want your Victor to just be chilling. You want your Sivir to be chilling. 221 farm, not quite on the minute, but pretty darn close. So yeah, I mean, the bees just loving this stuff right now.
And I don't think we talked about it too much in draft, but I guess it's quite an apparent and important point. But the wave clear from VFB is really good, right? Sivir and Victor, it makes it very easy for you to clear the waves, which obviously is giving them a lot of time, right? It's giving them a lot of time and a lot of space because they're not pressured into the being under tower and trying to kind of kill every single minion, and Ziggs are just hitting your tower for free, they are able to keep them well away from the towers. But again, the scaling question does come into my mind of the fact that yes, you are stalling it out, yes, VFB are getting a bit of space, a bit of time to farm up, but it is, in my opinion, feeling limited, because once we get that next Drake, I think all guns are going to be blazing, and maybe even before that, because C's going to go over the wall. There's the Cataclysm, they're onto Lilith, and it could be an easy takedown. They try and walk it out, but it's not happening. An easy kill picked up from BDS.
Yeah, great timing on that. 40 seconds on the Victor now is just about going to be up in time for this Drake with the TP, but we'll probably have to burn it to get back in the fight if she chooses, sorry, to get back on this. But yeah, just really great pick coming out there from the side of BDS, just taking their time, knowing their targets. And yeah, this is conversely to what we were talking about a second ago. This is the last thing you want if you are the bees.
Yeah, and you want that slow, peaceful farming. It is still, although we're having less action than maybe some other games that we've had today, it does feel like BDS have still had a lot of pressure on this map, right? They're still forcing around VFB where they want them. They're able to play their own game, and they're keeping to their tempo. And although, yes, we are in a bit of a calm, I do believe it is going to be before the storm, because I think once BDS get this tower open, they get this next Drake, they can really start to ramp up the pressure and start to really put the squeeze onto VFB. And we'll have to find out if they can withstand that pressure, if they can hold out, because if they do make it into late stages of this game, as we see Sivir almost at 3 items down, Victor almost at 3 items as well, if they can make it there, they could start to get an advantage.
Wait, what's going on here for the bees? They've just completely dropped the ball. They've just gone, you know what, BDS? You can have that Drake soul. Don't worry about it. Oh, the Baron. Oh, no, don't worry about that. We can fight over that in a bit. Really odd that they didn't even try to contest it. You know, I get that Sivir's not quite the 3 item spike yet. Victor's got 2 items now, though, getting to that strong point. Obviously, you can't discount how strong an item Divine Sunder is as a single item spike on these, on the Wukong and on the Jax. I feel like they could have at least been a little bit annoying about it. Perhaps maybe threatened to go towards this Baron, or maybe even just got some pressure on the Nash, just cleared out some of that vision that BDS has been so efficient at setting up throughout this game.
And they have a lot of utility to use it, right? They have a lot of poke threat, they have a lot of distance, they have a lot of threat in general of an engage of the Wukong of the Nautilus. So I do agree with you. I think they could have played a lot more aggressively for it. And now, if you look at it, at the Baron, they're even starting to set up for that too. And I feel like VFB, I talked about you have to kind of play passively until you get into your game, but they cannot give up everything.
No, absolutely agree with you, Jerry. I'm glad that I'm glad that we have an accord on this match. But space is now coming in. Where we got, here we go, the 3rd item completed for the Sivir, but it looks like the life of the Jax could be completed, as his screen could very well turn to grey momentarily, but alas. Oh!
Grey Master's Might is going to buy a bit more time. Counter-Strike going to get them aggressively on into the middle of the team, but that's not where you want to be, right? That's not where you want to be. You don't want to be in between 4 members of the Valkyries, and this does open them up for the Baron. They're going to start it up, and this is where heroes are made. Ali, can you steal this Baron and prolong the game? This would be a huge momentum shift if Ali can steal this one, but he is on to it. They are willing to just sacrifice their life to push Ali away, but they need to do a really strong job of this because Ali's going into the pit. The Baron is going low. Will it get stolen? It's not going to be stolen. It was 900, but Valkyries hold on. They pick up the kill. They get the Baron, and now what can they do with it? Lilith, smart plays, pushes down the bot side, gets the tier 2 in the bot lane. A bit of gold back to the VFBs, but is it a little too late?
How is Ali allowed to get in the pit there? I thought C had her on lock right there. But nonetheless, some really good work done on the bot side by Lilith. It's just not enough, unfortunately. We saw Chubby Daddy get caught in the top side. The worst time for the Jax to get caught there. They were trying to sort of do this kind of weird 1v1 thing to try and pull BDS apart a little bit, to hope that they wouldn't quite go to the Baron just yet. But they don't want none of it on BDS. They don't care about your split push. They'll just come kill you and then take the objective. And right now, this Renekton is so disgustingly strong. 600 gold more into the pockets of the Crocodile. If crocodiles had pockets.
And could just be used as an economy Baron, right? They could just get a lot of gold off it. They have 2.5 minutes left. They've already claimed 3,700 from this one. They base, they get items, they can get back on the map, and they can just do the same. Rinse and repeat. Stratus Panda able to TP into the mid, and now they can just look to claim mid tier 2. And I told you, they're going to start to ramp it up, and it feels like the time has come. The bell has been rung, and they are looking to get this game done.
Yeah, it's really important that BDS pick up the Baron here because, as you sort of noted earlier, J-Ro, the wave clear on the side of the Bees with the Victor and the Sivir is so strong. So having those empowered minions, it's really good.
Kasane's going to go aggressive. That's a lot of damage onto Stratus Panda. They might have the fight here. The Cyclone going to cause problems, but in the backline, Vicky going to go down, and Ali now going to fall, and they just have too much damage. Shah stepping forward, but you have to be careful. Chubby Daddy with that Jax is dangerous, but see, causing them to step back this whole fight. Lilith not able to get effective damage done, and although they pick up one, it is going to be another win for Valkyries.
And just diving straight onto Vicky, the absolute hero she is. That fight looked so good initially for the Bees. They found the pick onto Stratus Panda. They were like, right, there is no more tower taking for you, but that's the job, and just flags and drags and creates that Cataclysm right on top of the Sivir. What a fantastic pickup by the jungler of BDS, and of course the follow-up there from the rest of the team.
And it's what we said, right? Calm before the storm. They were 3k ahead. Now they are 6k in the lead. They grew 4,700 from that Baron power play alone, and they still have 54 seconds on the clock. But they don't need it, right? I think they're going to start setting up for this Dragon, because if there was ever a moment that VFB could bring this one back under control, it would be with the Elder Dragon.
Yeah, definitely. It's now really down to BDS to play really patient, to really play the waves and ensure that they're getting enough pressure, be it in the sides, be it in the straight body 5, just to ensure that Vitality have no way to really approach this objective, really push their prio here.
And one fight is all it takes. One fight, one good fight for BDS could end this game. And it hasn't even felt like they're under that much threat from the side of VFB, but they are on the chance of losing this, and BDS have done exactly what we wanted to see from them, from their comp, to play the map in their pressure, in their style, under their conditions, and slowly but surely just squeeze VFB out of this game. And they are one step away from doing that one team fight to end it all, and we'll see if VFB have the power to stall.
It looks like Eva.
Evelina going in. Kasane going to go down immediately, and now onto the back line. Vicky in trouble, but damage is going to be taken. It is going to be a status given out by Ender, and Vicky will get away. But look at the positioning. They're forced back to base. The Dragon is up, and I believe it is going to be BDS to become the Monster Slayers.
Yeah, I mean, the quickness doesn't need to do a whole lot there. Evelina just picks her target, picks the Nautilus, and goes, yep, I'll have a bit of that. You guys, you've got this. Picks up the Nautilus, and then again Ender just laser focus onto Vicky. Knows that she doesn't have the flash. Of course you don't have the flash. I took that a couple of minutes ago. Straight back in with the Cataclysm and just locks her down. Absolutely fantastic. Just awareness and play once again coming out from BDS.
And we talked about it. Gold created by the tower. Killed the Elder Dragon, now they got more power. They're looking to close this one out. BDS, I think, can just start to push into base here. They have so much damage. They are so far ahead, and they are looking to close this one for final. And it is going to be one fight that could just end it. But do we have a rebuttal from VFB? They're going to have to step away. The bombs from the Ziggs. It's just so much damage as they take one inhib.
Yeah, and we've got the Leandries obviously on the Ziggs here, just the burn, ticking away. There's no hurry in the game, but the time is ticking away for the Bees in this game. 2 needlessly large rods on the Ziggs. I don't think we need to analyse too much exactly what that's about to turn into and what it's going to spell for these Bees.
Yeah, and they're going to go for the base. They're going to get Baron in 24 seconds. It's the smart play. It's the calculated one. It's the one that doesn't give VFB a way back into the game. And we talked about it when we set up for this game. We said, look, BDS, it's all in their hands. VFB are essentially just waiting to see if they make a mistake. And BDS Valkyries, they have not. They have taken this game in their stride, on their tempo, on their time. And it looks like with one more objective, they will close this one out unless VFB can find some sort of magic in their team fight.
Yeah, and it's really difficult, right? Because when you have a comp like VFB's, where you have like the triple carry, you have that split push threat, but the split push threat just isn't threatening. There had to be so much more emphasis, I feel like, put into getting Chubby Daddies ahead early to ensure that she became enough of a feasible threat to the BDS side. But left to their own devices, and then C just put the dom in and dominus and just dominated in that matchup. And this is kind of the result. And looking now towards game 2, because I feel like this game doesn't have very long left, I'll be very interested to see what adaptations we're going to see out of the Bees, and they just tighten up again. Just maybe go a little bit safer in this top lane. Just allow their carries to really scale.
C was the alligator that swam in the ocean, hit a bit of a power spike and became Godzilla. That's how this game went. They're now looking to march down the base inside of VFB's base now with the powered up Baron minions. The super minions coming through, and here comes the fight. Transpander is going to get caught, but will it matter? In goes the Jarvan. They're able to lock up a lot of the members of VFB, but VFB are not done just yet. They've managed to proc GAs. They've managed to keep all of their members alive except for Kassane, but is it going to be enough? Stepping forward is Chubby Daddy, but you have to be wary of the poke. You have to be wary of the damage, and the towers are falling around you. You have to step up and fight. You have to make a play, but can they do so? VFB going to get engaged on this Cataclysm, and in they go. Boom goes the bomb, and boom goes their chances. VFB forced onto the Nexus, onto the fountain. Nexus falls down, and it's BDS takes the crown.
It's another banger, J-Real! BDS, what to say about this team? Absolutely phenomenal from start to finish.
Yeah, no mistakes. Like, okay, there was a couple small scrappy skirmishes that didn't go their way, but realistically, they had control the whole time. There was no point where B was starting to dictate the pace, starting to dictate the tempo, starting to call the shots, call the fights. It was all BDS Valkyries, and it was the fear that we had when VFB picked their comp, right? I said it. I said that they are basically waiting to see if BDS give them an opening to let them in, and they were never allowed to play. You know, they were playing snooker, and they were just watching someone score 147.
It was a Ronnie O'Sullivan angle, that's for sure.
I'm glad you got the reference. That was but with that being said, just like snooker does, we're also going to take a break. So we'll see you for the breakdown of Game 1.